Go ahead and hit that like button and let us know where you are signing in from. Where are you viewing us from today? What city, state, what country, wherever you are, let us know where you're coming from. We got a great guest today. Looking forward to our conversation. Lots to talk about today in terms of career growth as well as organizational growth. We're gonna cover both topics. If you have questions, we want you to pipe in with questions and feedback, comments. We love to have interaction. We're going to be giving away some books today and doing some fun little exercises with that. So we look forward to your participation throughout the day today. So let me just double check before I introduce our guests. I want to double check and make sure that you can see us and hear us. Go ahead and let us know that you can see us and hear us whenever you do log in to make sure. As I log in now to LinkedIn, just to make sure that we are good to go. Again, if you're just signing in, go ahead and let us know where you're signing in from, what city, what state, what country, and go ahead and hit that like button for us. Let us know that you are here and you're ready to go, and let us know if you can see us and hear us. I am clicking on it now just to make sure. And I want to keep track of the comments. I will be reading the comments during our conversation today. And we got a great guest in store for us today, so we look forward to our conversation. So 1 second here, I'm bringing it up. Okay, great. It looks like we're live. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, well, today we're featuring Dr. Timothy Brown, and we're talking about career growth as well as organizational growth, including leadership development. So we want to welcome you to the show, Timothy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ross. I'm glad to be here today.
Excellent. And we've got Casey Smith. He's already piping in. He says he's calling from McMurdo Station, Antarctica. What? Wow. Okay, either he's pulling my leg or he's really impressed me. Oh, my gosh. That's amazing, Casey. Joe is coming in from McKinney, Texas. And Patty Witt is coming in from Hazel Green, Alabama. And wow, Antarctica has to be a record for probably the furthest we've ever had someone calling on the show. That's amazing, Timothy. Your draw is drawing them in here today. We'll see what happens as this conversation goes. We appreciate you being here today. We want to talk about a lot of things having to do with career growth, and I want to get into some of these topics, and then as we go along with some of your answers, let's bring in some of your background as well. Now, if folks have been watching and looking at who we're going to have on today, you're with a wonderful organization called Atrium Health, and I do want us to unpack a little and talk a little bit about the organization as well. It's a very large organization, so you've got a lot of things to share from your perspective there. So I want to get into my first question. Right now, because of COVID and because of the lockdown, I won't say lockdown, but just limited social interactions that we're able to have. We're having to have the social distancing. We're not meeting in large groups. We're not having these one-on-one meetings with managers that we've been used to having. Give me an idea of the changes you've seen from your perspective in terms of career growth and what adjustments you would suggest that we make on a personal level.
Well, definitely. I know one of the biggest things that I've seen as far as the changes is we're moving from that face-to-face atmosphere to the more virtual world. So if you're like me, that's new of learning the video, the understanding what camera angles work, lighting, all those things. It's almost like a movie star world if you think about it in a way. But it's really just having an interaction with someone via camera. How do I do that? Even if it's over the telephone, because now we're virtual, but we're also using our mobile devices more often to kind of be the main source of how we communicate. So our communication changing, that means that we have to understand how to be our most authentic self using these different technologies. So I know the biggest thing for me is the video. So having a strong internet connection, having a good decent camera, having
Right.
a quiet place that you can actually get into to be able to have those communications that you need to build a relationship.
Exactly. Let me get you. I'm gonna adjust your volume just a second here.
Sure.
I just want to make sure folks can be able to hear you perfectly well. No, that's a great point. And so, being as we've had to make some of those adjustments just to make it us more comfortable on camera and looking better on camera, what are some things that you would suggest or recommend for folks who are looking to take that next level with their own careers? What level of engagement should we, or what type of conversations should we be having with peers, our managers, and that sort of thing to try and see if we can move the needle in terms of the career growth? Or is this not the time to even be doing that?
No, I think career growth it's always a great time to do career growth. Even though you may hear the stories on the news, and for one thing, I would say turn the news off if you can. Get a break from it, because there is a lot that can feed through the news stories, and it can be a lot to kind of consume. But it's always a great time for career growth. And I think the biggest thing is having an open, honest conversation with your leader. It's one of the biggest things that we pride ourselves on here at Atrium, is being able to have that conversation with your leader, letting them know how you want to move forward, what track you're looking for. Because when you're thinking about career growth, a lot of times it really is it's the relationships that you have that help you to kind of progress throughout your career. So whether it's making a move to a different department or area, or just moving out the organization as a whole, it really is about relationship building. I cannot stress that enough. When it comes down to every job that I believe I've ever had, it's through a relationship that I have had with someone to kind of help take me to where I want to go within my career.
That makes sense. So, what are some suggestions you have in terms of framing the conversation? Because it can be kind of awkward, right? You're doing your normal day-to-day stuff, and you want to make sure first of all, you keep the job, number one. And then second of all, you're looking for career growth. So give us some ideas of what would you suggest in ways of framing that to your hiring manager or to whoever you're trying to reach out to?
Absolutely. So the best way if you're looking at career growth, number one is you have to be doing your job. The job that you are paid for, you want to make sure that you're excelling at that, bringing your best self to work, actually asking for extra projects. So sometimes I know one of the biggest ways that I've looked at it is ask for an additional project that extends beyond maybe your reach. Talk about maybe learning about different areas of your organization, whether it be your boss's job, or if there's a particular area that you want to shadow. It's a great time to do virtual shadowing. We've had some of those events within our organization, and it's going very well. Mentorship programs are always a great way to work as well. We have several mentorship programs that we not only lead, but we also have facilitated organization-wide. So working within different areas of our hospital to get people in those particular departments, whether it's leadership or it's operations, or even if it's being some type of facility leader, having that opportunity to see what that work looks like and getting your hands on it, even if that means virtually getting your hands on it, but being able to provide some type of project or something to move you in those particular areas. That's how I would start the conversation.
I like it. It makes sense. A key point you mentioned is make sure you're doing good at the job that you're being paid for first.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And as far as framing these types of conversations and to make it easier for us personally to do that, I want to talk about and shift a little bit to the organization. You talked about some different groups that you have, kind of mentoring groups you have within your organization at Atrium. And I would like you to talk about some of those groups that exist. We touched on one of our roundtables in the past, but I kind of want to delve into this a little bit more and about how perhaps organizations that don't have these could perhaps start one.
Absolutely. So we have a number of system employee resource groups that we can become a part of. And really what a system resource group is, it's a group of like-minded individuals that are working towards the common goal and purpose of building the organization. So whatever their individual likeness of their groups, be it they may be a diverse group, be it that they may be a group that's geared around youth or even religion, or however you want to look at those particular groups, the main goal purpose is to be able to communicate with these particular groups and then use those groups to continue helping building the mission and the vision for the organization. So I lead a group within our organization called the Men's Diversity Leadership Network, along with my partner and peer, Philip Kemp, who's also our co-sponsor for that as well. But what we focus on is really building the men of our the men of our population around leadership, so that they can then in turn become leaders within the organization and continue pushing us towards our overall vision of for all, which is the health, hope, and healing for all. So you can build these organizations. They're very simple. It really is, our group, I know, started from a group of men just wanting to know, how do I move up? How do I progress in my career? What are some ways that I can become more visible within an organization? So building this system resource group around the men helped us to put a group of men in a room and talk about career development. Maybe there were certain things that you can do to kind of enhance yourself and definitely enhance and sharpen skills overall. So they're very simple groups to make. And, we have plenty of resources that we're available to share if you're interested in learning more about them.
Excellent. And so you said men, and obviously I
Yeah.
know that mainly it's going to be men in that group. How about organizations or pockets, if you will, that deal with perhaps women's issues? Do you
Oh,
have something
sure.
like that?
The beautiful thing is we have several system resource groups. So I lead them in, but we also have groups that are geared around women, women executives groups. We actually just recently started a group that's geared towards our African American women leaders. So it's called A2 Excel, which is great. And it's just another avenue for you to buy. I hate the word buy in, but it's another avenue for you to kind of link into your organization and to really become a part of and bring your whole self to work. We have a mission of health, hope, and healing for all. And we mean that for all. It's not only just for our patients, but it's for our employees, our teammates, our leaders alike. So we have a group that's geared around you get around religious different organizations. We have a group for our Hispanic population called Unidos. So I mean, it's several different groups, not to be exclusive, but to be inclusive. Anyone can join any group. I'm a part of A2 Excel. We have women within our Men's Diversity Leadership Network. I'm also a part of the Young Professionals Leadership Group as well. So we share resources, we share ideas, thoughts to kind of help build up the whole person. So as we're moving forward.
I love it. I love it. So even if you're a man and if you wanted to, you could join the women's leadership group.
Correct. Yeah, you absolutely can.
Wow.
Like I said, it's an inclusive way
Yeah.
to learn about different populations, and that's really what helps us become better at the work that we do.
Yeah. No, it's good. I appreciate that. Now, if an organization doesn't have that, let's say I'm working at an organization that is forward thinking like yours, and they would be open to something like this, or I think they would. What's a way to start the conversation to build up a group like this and to get some support for it? What would you suggest?
Sure. So if you have an area, our resources groups are kind of through the diversity and inclusion wing of our HR world. So if you have a group that's geared towards diversity, inclusion, really just building community support within your organization, that would be a great way to start that. We ask questions throughout our engagement service that focus on togetherness, teamness. Do you feel a part? Are you proud to be a part of the organization? Those questions really help us to gear how we need to shape and move forward as we're building our culture for the organization. So if you have those particular areas, and even if you don't, it can just start with one person asking the question, well, how can we bring more people together? How can we build that stronger culture? And really, as you're building that culture, it builds strength in the entire organization. You have a stronger organization and population to do the work.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So let me just also acknowledge some of the comments that are coming in. Let's see. We have we have Philippia. Hey, Philippia, she's in. She's coming in from L.A. I think her home state is L.A. If I'm not mistaken. L.A. Why am I saying L.A.? California. Home state is California, as if L.A. was a state. Unless you thought I was talking about Louisiana. We have Kendra. She's coming in from Houston, and so welcome all of you. As we are going through this conversation between Timothy and I, Dr. Brown and I, feel free and pipe in with your questions too, because we want to focus on what you want to talk about as well, because we're talking about career growth personally, but we're also talking about organizational growth and how we can grow as an organization as well. So we want to be able to kind of go back between those two sides depending on the demand from our audience. Okay, so let's do this. Let's kind of shift just for a second back to the personal growth as well. What are some things that you've observed? Because you do a lot when it comes to analyzing data and things of that nature. What have you noticed as far as problem areas, if you will, when it comes to career growth? Whether it's dissatisfaction, whether it's disengagement. What are some of the things that you've seen that perhaps those who are looking to grow in their career, mistakes that they want to avoid?
There are several mistakes that you may want to avoid when you're looking at career growth. One thing I definitely have seen is people over applying for jobs at one organization where you're just applying for any and everything. You're like, if it has one word in there that speaks to something on your resume, you put your resume in. And I think that can be a killer sometimes when it comes to not only morale for employee, definitely your career overall, but more so if you're looking at an organization that you're serious at. If you have several applications in for that same organization, sometimes that can be a bad thing.
Yeah,
So,
it's not a good look. I get it.
yeah,
That makes sense.
I would definitely focus more around where do you really want to be, and then
Yeah.
start building relationships with people in that particular realm, that area. If it's healthcare, then start building relationships with people in healthcare. And when I say build relationships, I mean like really have a real conversation with people. You would find that a lot of the jobs that do kind of take place are jobs that happen after someone has a connection with another person. So it's not necessarily the interview that gets you the job.
Right.
And we'll just be 100% honest about it. Sometimes it's really just having the right personality, having the right relationship with the right person, and then the job kind of comes into play from there. Beyond that, I definitely would focus on how you hunt for your jobs for sure. I know it's 9 times out of 10 when you see a job posted, there are already 100 candidates for it. And I know as a former hiring manager, I would sometimes get 90 to 100 applications for one job, and the competition can be steep. So how do you stand out? Resume format. Do I go with the most trendiest resume? What information do I put on it? All those things kind of come into play. I would definitely say no more than 2 pages for a resume. I had a funny story. I had a college student that had just graduated. I got from this college student a 7-page resume.
Oh, wow.
And I was blown. I was like, wow. So finding out what information is relevant to the job. So definitely want to show it with a 7-page resume. Not to knock those that may have that much experience, but hiring managers take somewhere between 20 seconds to 30 seconds to kind of figure out, is this person right for the job, and move on. And definitely, so just making sure you have those key points, look at the job description, and then literally pair your resume with the job description and walk it down. So those are different tips that I've used that have helped me to be successful in my roles, and definitely some that I've also seen in employees or future employees that are looking to become a part of the organization.
That's great feedback, and it's something that I not only that I agree with, but I've observed those same behaviors over the years. Is that we do have limited time. Like you said, if you've got 100 resumes to go through, you do not have time to do a 5 or a 10-minute drill down on each of these resumes. So getting it down to 1 or 2 pages is definitely I see that's very useful. In fact, it kind of goes back into something that myself and your colleague Seb, we talked about with how we're in this experience economy, right? And everything's we're used to things being customized toward us. So when I go on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn experience is different from yours because you're going to have some different likes and things of that nature. You're going to have some different colleagues in your network that I won't have in mine. So our experience is going to look different. In other words, it's customized to me. If I go to Amazon and if I go search on Amazon, the look of my screen is different from your screen. So we get so used to things being customized. If the job seeker is not customizing to that particular job and trying to make a one-size-fit-all, you're going against the way the whole economy is shifting right now. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. There's no one-size-fit-all resume. No matter how much we want to sit here and say there is no one-size-fit-all resume. and your resume really needs to speak to the specific job that you're looking for. And if it doesn't, I'm not saying that you won't get the job, but 9 times out of 10, you would definitely see that it will affect your ability to get the job that you really want.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense here.
Mm-hmm.
So we got, let's see, Casey says, now Casey, you said you agree. I love that. He agreed with something we said. Let us know what you agree with. I love it. Appreciate you being here, Casey. Let's see, Joseph Stewart. He says, proud of you, Tim. He said, let them know about those 7-page resumes. Casey says 38-page resume he saw. He says she was well published. Laugh out loud. Wow, 38 pages. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I tend to be. I don't know if you're like this, Timothy. I tend to be kind of wordy sometimes even in my emails where I've got to go back and say, you know what, do I really need to have all that in there? Sometimes I might have to have someone look at it and just say, how can I pare this down? It's too long. It seems like we're getting so much information right now. If we give them too much, they just won't look at it.
That's true.
Yeah, so I love what you're saying about. Casey says he agrees with don't apply multiple times. So you're that resonated with Casey what you said about that.
That's good.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
I've been victim to that, so I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's interesting what you're saying about the 100 applications, because I remember back in 2000, I guess around 8 or 9 when we had the last big recession. That was a big thing. That was 100, 200, 300 resumes for one position. And so it's interesting that you're still seeing that now. Is that something where you see, has it been rising recently, or is it kind of steady? What's your feedback as you look back on the amount of applications per position?
I see it rising, and the reason being that the flexibility to be able to change careers it's definitely different than the culture was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, where people would actually stay in one role for a longer amount of time. Now it's more acceptable to be able to switch jobs and to transition and change, and to have that what we call transfer skills. So you do see now that there are more people applying for roles. Even if you apply for a role on LinkedIn, it'll tell you the number of people that have applied just from LinkedIn sometimes. So just being able to see that kind of lets you know that jobs are in high demand. Yeah. And if you think about the person that's looking at the organization, because we have some very, very qualified people, they're in the driver's seat. So now not only do future employees have that anxiety, also corporations and organizations have that same anxiety of trying to select the right person, because if I select somebody that's really, really good, are they going to stay? So you have to continue to keep that in the back of your mind as well. Well, are they going to get bored with the job? Because after you get past the honeymoon stage of a job, which is usually 6 months to a year, you start to see, those very, very engaged employees starting to look again and maybe look for different opportunities for growth. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind as well, as a hiring manager. So
yeah, that's good. Philippia says, many people are frustrated by their job search. What advice would you give to help them stay motivated during these times?
Absolutely. The biggest thing this is going to sound so simple. The biggest thing I've always told people when they're frustrated by a job search is take a deep breath. Understand that this is a time of transition for a lot of people. I think the most recent stat I heard was that we have over 1 million people out of work now that are looking for jobs currently. If you have a role, definitely be grateful for the one you have. But if you're still continuing to look, don't get too discouraged. Sometimes it takes 50 no's to get one yes. Yeah. But those 50 no's kind of help you build your resume, build those skills. I look at it as, I know for one particular role, and I'll be 100% honest, I had applied to 38 jobs before I even got my first interview. But by the time I got that interview, I was prepared enough for the interview that I got the job on the spot. So I was frustrated going through those 38 no's and hearing back, and some of the jobs I never even heard back from. And then when I finally got the opportunity, I had built up enough oomph that I was able to walk in with confidence and say, I'll get this one, and I was successful with it. But it can
Uh,
be frustrating. You're not
yeah.
alone.
No.
Definitely talk to someone and have a friend or a confidant that you can talk to, because it is a difficult time as we're moving forward with career change. It can be frustrating for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of piggyback on what you said earlier, just to kind of, I guess, expand on it a little bit more, I like what you said is customizing your approach. So it's going to take a little more time to do that customization, and you're going to be able to put maybe out less applications than you would if you were just spitfiring them out. But I think that it does increase your chances, because I think as a lot of folks out there, he'll take one out of 38.
Correct.
They may have done a whole lot more than that and hadn't
Mhm.
got anything. So I like what you're saying about the customization. When you say customization, give me some examples of some places on just from your perspective on the resume where you'd like to see it customized.
Absolutely. The executive summary or your profile summary, the first thing that we as hiring managers usually look at, customize that to where we can say that person knows the job that they're coming into. To me, that speaks volumes. If I can read your summary and know that you can understand the role that you're coming into, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'll give you a call just off of being able to understand your summary. Please make sure. One big thing I think is a stickler for a lot of hiring managers is grammar, and also your spelling. Please,
Yeah.
if you can, read your resume. Take your time, read through it. Read it as if you were the hiring manager, and really critique it and say, would I hire this person? If I read through this one page resume and I'm finding over 5 mistakes in spelling or grammar, it really can make the difference. It can make or break you as you're moving forward. With your actual bullet points, don't bullet. I always say, don't bullet point me to death. No more than three if you can,
Right. Right.
per job. I mean, really think about the three points of a particular job that speak to the job that you want and the roles that you're looking for. So if you can find a way to customize your experience to speak to the job that you're looking for, then it'll make you a lot more successful.
Love it. These are great tips. Guys, thanks for your comments. I'm going to be going through all of these. By the way, Philippia says that's very true. Customizing your resume and preparing is good advice. Thank you. And Noel says spot on, Tim. And let's see, Joseph, I'm going to get to your question here in just a second here. In fact, I'll do it now because I want to give away a book. But let's go. Let's do Joseph's question before we give away a book. He says, "What would you recommend for people who get the interview, but COVID has affected the company, and the position is either rescinded or put on a long hold?"
So, what would I recommend to someone that maybe got the interview and then now the job is kind of on hold? Well, I mean, I look at it as a blessing because you could be in the job and then they say, well, we don't have the salary to be able to hold that job. So, I will say it's still frustrating. I never want to overshadow the frustration of maybe seeking and trying to find that role. However, what opportunity is for you. And what you have to remember at the end of the day is if I didn't get the job, then that still means I have an opportunity waiting for me as I'm moving forward. So you just have to continue to keep the positive outlook of it. For that particular role, I mean, there's nothing that you really can do to make it happen. So in that particular instance, you kind of just go back and refresh your resume, pat yourself on the back because you got the interview, which is a
Yeah,
great thing, and continue moving forward.
absolutely. I like that. Okay, let's give away a book. And before I do that, I want to ask you a question. Also, Timothy, if there was a book that you've already read that you were going to reread, which book would that be?
My favorite book in the whole wide world, two books actually.
Okay.
The first one is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That is my favorite, like, go-to books by John C. Maxwell. If
Okay.
you have not read it, John C. Maxwell books, I promise you, he's a great author, former pastor, former leadership, and still speaks on leadership to this day, but just has a great understanding of leadership on every level. The 21
Okay.
Irrefutable Laws, phenomenal book. If I'm just reading, just to
Uh huh.
read, The Alchemist by Paulie Coleman. It's
Okay.
a
Those are great. Okay, so Joe, let's add those to our list for today. You can choose one of those, or you can choose one of the books I'm about to show you on the screen. But before I show you those books on the screen, what we're going to do is we're going to do a kind of the word game thing that we've done this before, and where you're going to have to basically type in the word that I give you, but you have to type it in different comments. And then if you're interrupted in some way, you're just going to have to start over and do it over again. The first one to do that will win a copy of either one of the two books that Timothy just mentioned, or one of the ones that's on our list. Now, here's one of the ones that's on our list here. Okay, so I've got it on the screen there. You can see those are the possible books that you can win. We got The Busy Litter's Handbook by Quint Studer, The Shift to Professional Paradise by Vicki Hess. We have The Nurse's Guide to Innovation by Bonnie Clipper. We have the Improv to Improve Healthcare by Candy Campbell, and Create Value as a Senior Leader by Shona Elliott. It's Okay to Not Be Okay by Kim LaMontagne, and Learn, Laugh, Lead by Brian Harmon and Stephanie Taglianetti. Those books will all be autographed by the author, actually, if you order one of those. Unless, of course, you get the digital copy. Then it's just going to be the digital copy. Okay, so let's go with I'm going to go with the word for today is going to be, because of in honor of Timothy here today, the word for today is going to be brown, BROWN. Go for it. The first one to put that in will win a copy of one of those books. Okay, so let me go back to our screen again. I've got a question for you, sure, Timothy, while we're waiting on this. So I'll give you a choice: a would you rather question or an open-ended question.
Let's do a would you rather, because I'm not sure about the open-ended.
Okay. All right. So, would you rather spend a 24-hour period hearing car alarms in your head, or the sound of a dentist's drill?
Are they both 24 hours?
Yes.
Oh God. The car alarm.
Why is that?
Because the dentist drill would drive me crazy. I wouldn't last probably 10 minutes with the dentist drill, honestly. I'd just be pulling my hair out.
Yeah, that would be a little nerve-wracking, I would imagine. I can almost feel it in my teeth when I hear it. Oh.
I know. Why does that sound so horrible? Have they not advanced technology to the point where we don't have to hear drills anymore? They're drilling in our mouth.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's just so... It wasn't until after I read it, I was like, ooh, I could actually hear the sound. And this is like 20 years ago. I'm hearing the sound, just drill. Anyway. All right, let me go back to let's go back to the comments here. Where did my comments go? I'm not seeing them now. I know they're here somewhere. Here we go. All right, so some of the comments too is Angel Pascual Castejon. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. He says he agrees. He agrees with what you said earlier. And Casey Smith, he adds, stay in touch with the recruiter to ensure that they know your interest, but move on with what you need to do. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I'm gonna expand on his point. I like Casey's point because one of the things that I've had folks ask me many times in the past is, okay, I've been talking with this recruiter. All of a sudden, this recruiter's not responding to me. They're not calling me back. They're not responding to my emails. They're just disappearing on me. What do I do? And my answer usually is you got one or two choices. If you have other options, then go ahead and let them know you have other options. Say, in a nice way. So they just want to touch base with you, follow up with you, because I actually have a couple of other positions that I'm being considered for. But you're at the top of my list, and I would love to see if we could put something together. But if I don't hear from you by, let's say, this Friday, then I'll know it's not still a go. And that gives them an opportunity to jump on it if the recruiter feels like there's an opportunity. But if not, they're just going to let the deadline pass. That's one way. Another way is you don't really push it, because if you push it, you may end up hurting your chances. What are your thoughts on that, Timothy? What would you say to that person?
Okay, so I think this is a great point. I actually heard this the other day on the radio. There was a guy talking about they call it ghosting. If you're familiar with the dating
Yes,
term,
yes.
where you hear from somewhere and then all of a sudden you just don't hear anything. It can happen. A recruiter or even an organization where they've taken the job down or they decided to go with a different candidate. That at the end of the day, if like I said, if it's for you, then you'll get it. If not, then you can continue moving forward. Take it as a learning lesson. So when I'm looking at working with a recruiter, if I'm working with a recruiter trying to find a particular role, and all of a sudden that recruiter just stops talking to me and I hear nothing, then that's probably not the recruiter that I need to be working with. I need someone that's going to be able to provide that consistent communication. There are several recruiters that would try to contact you through LinkedIn or other different avenues. Just be open to it. Be understanding. If you are looking for a particular role and this person promises you the world, just be. My mom used to tell me, "Hey, be very open and conscious to what's going on. So listen with both your ears and definitely just be understanding of where you're really trying to go."
I like that. No, that's so true. And it's true. I can also sometimes I can sympathize with some of these recruiters. They got like I don't
Yeah.
know 70, 100 recs they're working on, and if a particular applicant is asking about this job that is not even the highest on their radar because maybe that job's been put on hold or maybe that candidate is like candidate number 10 on the rankings and there's about 9 in front of them. It's not that they're out of the race at all, but they're also not necessarily a top candidate either. Those things I think come into play, and I'm not excusing the recruiters for not calling back, but I think that sometimes flavors the issue where they've just got so many other competing priorities that they're not being responsive anymore.
Yeah, and Rob, sometimes you also have to look at that. The recruiters will give you some information or feedback. If they're giving you something that can actually help you towards it, I say take it. Whether it's hey, review your resume or review your cover letter or do this, do X, do Y. Listen to that advice because it really, I mean, even if they're not communicating with you every day or however often that you would like, if they've given you some type of advice, take it because it's really going to help you move forward. Um, I've seen a lot of recruiters, a lot of employees that have worked with recruiters and they give the advice, it's not taken, and then they're still frustrated that they're not getting jobs. I'm like, well, what advice did they give you in the past? And
Yeah,
it could be something as simple as customize your resume to the job,
yeah,
going
yeah.
back to what we spoke about earlier.
That's true.
But I mean, we laugh a little bit about it, but a lot of people don't take that advice. They think, well, I have one resume and I can use that one resume for every job I apply for. And that's just not the way of the world anymore.
Yeah. And I can speak to your point as well from a marketing standpoint. It used to be about 10 years ago, if I sent out this super big mass email or some kind of mass communication, I can count on a certain percentage back of answers, and it was fairly reliable. But today, when I do that, or I actually stopped doing it because it's not effective anymore. But when we would do that, we found that the results were less and less because we're getting so much information coming in at so many different directions. People don't respond to mass messaging the same way that they used to. So I'm gonna actually add to your point that the customization that you mentioned earlier, I think, is a key point. It's really more about the end user experience and customization more so than how many people did I reach. And I think that that's going to make more of an impact to just exactly to your point. Instead of having one or two versions of your resume, if you applied for 10 different jobs, I mean, you may have 10 different versions, right? Depending on the jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's okay. I want to reiterate that it's okay to have, a customized resume. Actually, I would speak, more for you having that customized resume. There may be roles on your resume that need to be removed. There may be a particular job qualifications that you've done within your current role or past roles that speak directly to where you want to go. Case in point, for one job that I got for the here at the hospital, it was amazing. It was nothing that I actually did in healthcare that got me the job. It
Mm-hmm.
was a 3 month consultant role that I took that wasn't even paid that got me the job. And
What?
I almost took it off my resume, but it caught the attention of the hiring manager to the point where we talked more about that particular role, which was only a 3 month consultant role, that got me to
Wow.
open up and got me the actual role that got me to leading and managing within in healthcare. And I was like, wow, how did that happen? But knowing that particular role had something to do with where I was going forward, I put it on my resume and
Mm.
it worked. Yeah.
That was a key right there. I like that because you knew
It
that that
worked.
particular 3 month thing had something to do with that role. So you decide, okay, I'm gonna put that in there, and that's what they spent time talking about. I love that point.
Right.
Okay, so folks, let me give you this for that one. I like that one. We should pay attention to that one. That deserves a round of applause because I want you to remember that. That may be just what it takes to help you get what you need in terms of your next position. I think that's really, really good. Okay, let me go back to my comments here. Let's see what our results here. Oh, hey, Casey. Yeah, Casey, he took a good stab at it. We got Kendra was in there. We got Joseph was in there. Quite a few that were in there that were competing for that book. I love it. He says, in fact, Casey says, this is not working too well, posting it. Laugh out loud. Okay, so Casey, what I'm going to do for you is we're going to have another challenge here in just a moment, and it's going to be a little different. This may be more suited to you. So it looks like our winner, we have a winner. Joe has said what it is, who it is, and it's our winner for this particular challenge is Joseph Stewart. Let's give him a round of applause. The crowd is cheering for him. Congratulations to Joseph Stewart. All right. So, Joseph, let us know which book that you want to get, and we'll make sure you get it. Patty Witt says the dentist drill. She would definitely. I guess she would want the dentist drill. She says, and then Philippia says dentist drill too. She says I'm immune.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Teach me.
Patty says the dentist drill would not bother her, and Philippia says that's actually a good idea, Tim. A silent drill.
Exactly.
They should come up with one, right?
Yeah. How about we collaborate? We'll develop it.
She also says, I agree. What is meant for you is meant for you. And Noel agrees. Casey says the recruiter tells you to come in for the final interview and then calls and realizes they called the wrong person, even if you confirmed it 2 separate times. Maybe not the right place to be. Yeah. Ugh,
That's tough.
that's tough. Yeah, that's a bad deal right there all around.
I would hate to hear that.
Oh, man.
Even though as a recruiter, I would hate to be that recruiter that messed up.
Wow. Okay. What I want to do now is I want to give another book. I'm going to give another book away. Let's go for this time. We're going to go for, let's see. Okay. Vacations. All I ever wanted. Okay. All right. We all know what the Eiffel Tower looks like, but tourists still flock to this city to see the landmark up close. Okay. So I want you to refrain from answering this, Timothy, for a moment. We're going to get some guesses from our commenters. And as we wait for guesses from our commenters, I'm going to go for an open-ended question for you. I think this will be fun. This will be fun. Okay. What is your favorite iPhone? I'm sorry, not iPhone, but just your favorite phone app. What's the favorite app you're using right
favorite phone app?
Yeah.
Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I mean, I can be on Pinterest. I hate to tell myself. I can be on Pinterest every chance I get a free moment. And the reason is because it's a way to learn different communities. I use Pinterest for wardrobe. I use Pinterest for learning different skills. I even use Pinterest for resume building and understanding different skills like that.
What?
Career building and all of that. So
Really?
I mean, it's just a great resource. You can type anything in there and you can learn. And I mean, when I say I really use it, Ross, I really do. I look at different tips, different resume review tips. I've used it for cover letters. I've actually just redid my resume and found a template out of there that I built it from. So yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. Okay. I'm wondering, guys, is anybody else using Pinterest? And if so, I'm wondering if we should use this in our recruiting process, because I know for me, we use for our recruiting practice when we're recruiting nurses, we use Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google, all the Google network, which is like over 1 million websites in the U.S. But we're not using Pinterest. I wonder if we should do that, even if we were given tips like what you said, recruiting tips, or resume tips you said earlier. What do you think?
I think it would be a phenomenal way to build another community of people that can grow. They have very relevant articles that you can read on Pinterest. And I mean, I have actually stumbled upon Pinterest from my wife. Love my wife. She's amazing. So just having that option to be able to kind of learn anything at any time, to me, it's like the world of Google in one area. So
I love it.
And then just links up, they open up so many. Like you can click on one and you keep scrolling, and it's endless. It is.
Okay, so Joseph said that's good feedback. Joseph said he's going to go with "It's okay to not be okay," and I am going to tag the author here. She's going to be so excited. She said, Killa Montaigne, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, so he picked her book. I'm just tagging him. That's awesome. Okay.
I just love the title of that book. I mean, that you can talk an hour on that. Just it's okay not to be okay. So
absolutely.
And great story that she has too with her book.
Absolutely. Okay, so I wonder, does anyone have an answer for my trivia question? My trivia question was, and somehow I lost it. Where did it go? I had it. Oh my goodness! I know it was like. Oh, I know. I see it here. Yeah. So the trivia question again. Let me go back to it. We all know what the Eiffel Tower looks like, but tourists still flock to the city to see the landmark up close. Okay. So, Timothy, do you want to take a stab at that trivia question?
Say it one more time. I'm trying to figure out what you're asking.
We all know what the Eiffel Tower looks like, but tourists still flock to the city to see the landmark up close. What city am I referring to?
I'm hoping Paris, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That is it, Paris.
Yeah. I'm like, is this a trick question?
No one answered it yet, so that's why I was just wanting to make sure I just get it out there. So I was giving you an opportunity to answer it. Okay, so I may let the cat out of the bag too soon because I didn't see any comments. So if someone didn't guess it before I answered it, I'm going to give you another one. Here's another travel-related question. Actually, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go to, this is a different one here. Going to extremes. What is the hottest place on Earth recorded by temperature? Gobi Desert in China, Dead Sea, Israel and Jordan, or C, Death Valley, United States, or D, Azazia, Libya? Okay, so guys in the comments, I want you to guess. I'm not going to ask you to guess this, Timothy. I want the guys in the comments to get this. And whoever answers that particular question first will get a free copy of the book. One of the books that we have. Okay, so going back to our discussion, I want to move just a little bit in our last few minutes into what can organizations do to better foster leadership, especially from minorities, whether it's females or other races or nationalities and that sort of thing, gender across the board. What can organizations do to help mentor some of these folks into leaders? Because we know we need more leaders that are minorities in addition to those who are already in leadership positions.
It's a great question. I appreciate you for asking that. Organizations really have a great opportunity now. I know it's a different time, a different space for organizations as we're growing, but the topic of diversity and inclusion is very important. We used to hear diversity of thought, and that was great. But when it comes down to it, I'm a firm believer that, if you're going to build an organization in a community, your organization should reflect the community that it's serving. So especially within healthcare, When we look at our different organizations, if my organization, if the person's treating me or the person that is leading this organization doesn't look like me, I I want to be able to connect to it, but sometimes it's difficult. So when you're looking at that, then also you need that diversity of person, thought, color, understanding to be able to attract and pull in more business for your organization. So whether you're looking at recruiting more women, how do we do that? Well, you have to talk to women. You know, what do they need? What are they looking for in their career? If you're looking for building a more diverse portfolio where you have more African Americans or more Indians or more, more Hispanics. However, whatever that is, you have to understand the population that you're trying to bring in, and really it's just about having an authentic conversation, and then starting to build. I know with us, we built our mentorship program around our men from diverse backgrounds, and it wasn't just pulling in all Black men for the particular mentorship program.
Right.
That wouldn't do anything for us. So what we looked at was, we said, okay, our group is mostly predominantly African American males. How can we get them to understand and grow in their career? So we started pulling in our white male leaders and some of our Black female leaders and some of our Hispanic female leaders and our white female leaders. And we built such a rich culture for the mentorship program that I think it's probably one of the top tier mentorship programs that I've ever been a part of.
Oh, I love this. Okay, I got this for this one. I love it. This is good. I appreciate that because, okay, you're hitting on a key point, because I'm actually going to be speaking about this subject about diversity at a HR association meeting coming next month. And I just could not agree with you more about reflecting the community you serve. Mm-hmm. Having people in that organization, in that hospital, in that company, whoever it is, that reflects the community they serve. It should reflect to a point, roughly a percentage, right? I mean, of that area. If you got 20% African American in the area, then probably somewhere around 20% should be in that organization.
But here's the thing, Ron, it's not just in the organization, but also in that leadership space where they can make the choices that need to be made for that community. Because, you can have 20%, in that organization, but if you don't have that leadership voice, then you're still not making the change that needs to be made.
Yes. No, thank you very much for adding that. That goes into the whole equity thing, right? It's like diversity, absolutely, inclusion, and equity. Actually being stakeholders, part decision makers in the organization. Not just work using a hospital as an example. We need our EVS workers. Okay, we need our folks working in the areas that serve food and all that. We need all those people, but correct, just to try and hit your numbers just by using a few of those departments, that's not good enough. We got to have it across the board and in leadership. I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know that's one of the biggest things that we're focusing on as an organization now, is being able to put those leaders in place that can speak for the community, especially with the time of COVID and seeing that it's disproportionately affecting African Americans and the Hispanic population. How do we communicate with those communities and not seem inauthentic? So, you have to have a leader that knows how to maneuver in those communities, whether it's getting into the faith-based communities, learning about how, different communities associate and group together as families. How do we teach them to use PPE or wearing masks when they want to gather with more than 50 people? Because there's no real set in stone way of how we're supposed to navigate this pandemic. And I know that's the whole different issue outside of what we're talking about. But in understanding that, how do I communicate within that community? Because I can't be an outsider coming in telling you how to run your life. Because 9 times out of 10, that's going to turn that entire population away from the care that they need. So we need someone that looks like them, that understands them, that can speak for them, not only when we're coming to them, but at the table when we're making the decisions that affect the overall community.
And one thing I want to acknowledge, you just won our contest. One thing I just want to quickly say before I forget, is that sometimes hiring managers will have to be a little bit more, and maybe recruiters too. I wouldn't say lax, but we want to give a little bit when it comes to some of these requirements, because it may be that some of the diverse applicants may not have had the same opportunities to have some of that same experience as someone who is not a minority. So, but let me I want to just acknowledge here. So it looks like we have a winner for the Paris question. The first one to answer correctly was actually Casey Smith. He didn't give up. He tried again. So congratulations, Casey Smith. Appreciate you. We're all excited. We're like this room of people. We're excited for Casey right now because he was able to push through and get that one. So congratulations. You get a chance to pick whichever book that you would like. I'm going to put up on the screen any one of those books or one of the two that Timothy has suggested for today that he would reread. So those are good. Now we got some other ones coming in. Okay, so as far as the answer to the other question that I gave, the correct answer is the hottest place on earth is Death Valley, I believe. Yes. I think it's Death Valley. Yeah, Death Valley.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. Death Valley, United States. So if you guessed that, who guessed that first, Joe, if you don't mind? Let us know who won that one. Philippia says, I lived in Arizona and Vegas and would have to go with my own and say Arizona. So and Philippia says Death Valley gets pretty hot too. So I don't know if someone else guessed, but it looks like Philippia might be our winner on that one. Yeah, so I want to get your comment back on that. So what do you think about that last comment I made about the requirements? Have you seen something like that on your side?
I would totally agree. It's all in how you're trying to frame the actual position. I think sometimes there are certain aspects of a position that can disqualify some minorities, and especially if you're looking to recruit the minority population. And this is by no way of me saying that they are minorities are unqualified, because we're not. There are some that have an extensive background, but as in understanding how to move forward, creating a fair environment for growth, and an equitable environment for growth. I think sometimes we do have to restructure and really look at how we are posting our job descriptions, because there's some stuff in there that may not necessarily need to be within that particular job, but it does kind of weed out and cause some not to be able to think that they can apply for it.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt and say it's not done intentionally. But when you said weed out, sometimes we use the word filter out, sometimes we use the word screen out. But we have this big pool of applicants, right, that are applying for this job, and sometimes we add on things that really aren't necessary to do the job, but it serves as somewhat of a weeding out or a filtering mechanism, and it makes it a little bit easier for us to go through the candidates. The problem is that may be unnecessarily weeding out really good candidates that could do the job that happen to be minorities. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm a firm believer that you must reevaluate your job description. Don't just post. If you have a job where you're having multiple turnovers, it may be time to reevaluate that job description, because people come in thinking they're getting one job, and then the actual job is something completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely agree. It's a reevaluation of some and many job descriptions that need to happen, especially when it comes down to our minority populations.
I love that. And it probably, how often do you think it should be done? How often do you think that organizations should relook at their job descriptions as these jobs shift?
I think as a hiring manager, anytime you post a job, you need to reevaluate that job description. Find out, and it really comes from this is my engagement background coming in. Why did the person leave? Why did multiple people leave? Understand, was there something that they thought they were going to get here coming in, and then definitely reevaluating that job description so that when you do bring in the new candidates, you're getting what you need, but also for that candidate coming in, they understand what they're coming in to do. I know one of the highest turnover areas that we have is in kind of like the call center environment. Mm-hmm. A lot of people come in and think, well, I can grow into something different. However, it's the job that you need someone on the phone to be able to take the call. So just reevaluating and understanding that, I think, that could be an area for growth and opportunity as you're moving forward.
Oh, I love that. This is all. You've been awesome today, Timothy. I want to. Go ahead and announce our last winner. Um, Casey finished strong. He actually knocked them both out of the park. He got the second one, the second trivia question too. So congratulations to Casey. Congrats.
Nice work, Casey.
Casey was getting after it today. Appreciate you. He was the first one to correctly answer. Philippia gave the answer, but it was after Casey did. So, but good try, Philippia. Appreciate you. Timothy, you've been excellent. I love all the feedback. What's one piece of advice you would like to give to those who have been looking for a job or looking for that next, ring up on the ladder, career growth, so to speak? What final word of encouragement would you like to give them?
I would definitely say continue pushing forward, stay positive. Most importantly, create those meaningful relationships, whether you're reaching out on LinkedIn or you're reaching out through any other social media network that you're using to grow. Make those connections, because that's really what's going to help you as you're moving forward in your career, those positive relationships. And look around. I mean, it could come from your current job, your current leader. Have a conversation. Do not be afraid. Be confident, and know that once you find what your purpose is, there's nothing that can stop you from getting to where you want to go to.
Oh, I love it. That's great. It's golden advice. Once again, Timothy, I just want to thank you for stepping up. You came up to the plate and just knocked it out of the park today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ross. This has been fun.
Yeah, appreciate it, and keep up the great work, all the stuff you're doing for healthcare. By the way, guys, as you're commenting in, even if you're watching the replay, put in the comments, if you don't mind, what resonated with you the most. What point are you going to take away from today that you think will benefit you going forward? Share that with us. We'd love to see that. And both Timothy and I will be looking at these comments later. If you have any questions, even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and ask the questions, and we'll see if we can get an answer for you. But thanks again, Casey. Let's say bye to everybody.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Okay, let's do a couple quick poses before we get off, Casey, for the editors. Okay, we're gonna just do a couple quick poses, like a happy pose.
Yeah.
A little crazy pose. Okay. Well, listen, thanks. Have a great rest of the day, Timothy. Everybody who's watching, have a great rest of the day. Appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you tomorrow, same time. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. The stream is a little bit behind us, so I'm going to